off camera, we were talking about how there's certain things that just blow my mind. Certain guys like Thomas Lang who will play things that are kind of overwhelming to listen to. That was pretty gnarly. What were you just doing?
So it's like Paradiddles, but Paradiddles is different subdivisions, and like kind of mixing and matching. So, yeah, that's
amazing.
Pretty much all it is.
Today we've been talking a ton, depending on where you are in the series, where we're just diving into subdivisions. Again, subdivision being a smaller part, we're just dividing the quarter note to show you guys what eighth notes sound like versus eighth note triplets, versus 16th notes, versus sextuplets, versus 32nd notes, and how we can apply these rudiments. So far we've just done single strokes, then we did single strokes with some bass drum ostinatos, then we did double strokes with some bass drums. Now we're going to do paradiddles.
Paradiddles. So, same thing as doubles. Paradiddles are a grouping based on 4. So, when you encounter 8th note triplets and 16th note triplets, it's going to get weird. So just make sure that you really isolate that, really get it down with the hands before you start doing kick patterns or before you start even like just blazing through and playing it. Make sure you slow it down and know what groups of 4 accented in 8th note triplets sounds like.
You got that out. That was good.
Because that is like that's a different sound than most people are used to. Same with 16th note triplets. Accenting groups of 4 in 16th note triplets is a little bit of metric modulation.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel weird. But if you can start to feel that rhythm, this is going to be a whole lot easier. And until you start feeling that, I would maybe argue that you won't be able to really nail this down until you can kind of hear what that sounds like.
Yeah, it's getting comfortable in your skin, playing some of these subdivisions, understanding the subdivisions, understanding what a paradiddle sounds like when you're playing it as triplets. So triple, let right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right. Oh man, can I even say that? Right, left, 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 right.
Yeah, there you go.
Just super weird and. But it's metabolizing it almost, like absorbing it, understanding it.
Yeah.
And then when you said the word metric modulation, this word gets used a lot, especially when you're in drum clinics, man. There's always some guy that's like, just wants to show off that he knows the word.
Right.
He's like, hey, were you just playing a metric modulation of like a 7/9?
Right.
And the guy's like, it's Keith Carlock. He's like, no, actually, I was playing 4/4 time. I was just being weird, right? So, but it's so important to know that word, metric modulation, that is like a $30 word.
Yeah.
And what it's really trying to say is you're playing a subdivision, but then you create an illusion, right? A rhythm illusion. I'm totally stealing Gavin Harrison's book title, Rhythmic Illusions, right? But you're playing something like sextuplets, but then you're going to put the accents in such a way that every 4 notes, you're hitting an accent, so it sounds like you're playing 16 notes. Anyways, we're going to dive into that too. We've got a whole series.
It sounds like a little bit of a different tempo. It sounds like a tempo shift.
Yeah,
a little bit.
but it's rooted in understanding subdivisions, so it starts here.
Yeah, it starts yeah, absolutely. It starts here. If you try to do metric modulation without knowing what's going on here, it's going to fall apart. I promise.
If you're listening to this and you don't understand metric modulation, that doesn't mean you're not going to understand subdivisions right now. Like, you're going to understand where we're at, so you're good.
So taking that pyramid, go from 8th notes, 8th note triplets, 16th notes, 16th note triplets, 32nd notes. Same thing, but now you're accenting that paradiddle. And I would play the paradiddle with a really strong accent, and then maybe with no accent.
Cool.
Just to make sure that you have that, you're totally... So what I'll do is I'll play the pyramid, I'll go up the pyramid using accents, and maybe down the pyramid not using accents, just so we can hear both and get that kind of under our
Cool, so
skin.
practice both those, and then we won't go through all the foot patterns you can apply, because you can apply all kinds.
Oh, yeah.
But we can do the bass drum and left foot together.
Yeah.
We can do the right foot, left
and let's
foot.
let's do just like alternating quarter notes. Bass, hat, bass, hat.
Perfect.
1, 2, 3, 4. Different tempo. Different tempo.
The time was so good. I was about to turn off the metronome. That was awesome, dude. Great job, man.
And I mixed up, I didn't play all those subdivisions the same amount of time, but there does come a point where you want to be able to mix and match these and play 2 measures of one of them and then go to 2 beats of another, and then you want to get it so where it doesn't have to be a rigid smallest subdivision up to the largest and then back down. It can be anything. I went through for a time, I would like go on a random number generator online and like put in random numbers, because even if you write it out, like it's not possible to write out all the variations, but even if you have like a really systematic approach to it, you're still locked into a certain like thinking.
Right.
Where if you have something randomly generated, it's going to have a lot of things that you wouldn't even have considered because it's random.
Right. So what you're saying is jumping straight from 8th notes to 32nd notes to 8th note triplets to
back to 32nd notes.
Yeah.
To like go online and type in like the different intervals, find like it gets pretty nerdy. But
it does get nerdy.
It'll get you used to playing a paradiddle at any subdivision at any point in the measure.
I think a really important thing too, and there's so much to be said for this, is that when you're practicing this stuff, if you pick up on yourself, like I'm at a place now with drumming where I'm not trying to add a million new ideas, and a lot of the lessons we're teaching are refining things where I'm like, man, like I know a lot about subdivisions, but right away my thought process is where in these exercises are going to be some weak spots that I can zero in on.
Yeah.
So for you guys, if you find that you're practicing through this and you notice, oh man, for some reason it's actually the transition from 8th note triplets to 16th notes that I'm kind of weak on, work on that, like isolate it and focus on it, because there's so much to be said for noticing while you're going through this stuff, man, where's the little weak area that I can improve?
And record yourself doing it.
Oh.
Because your brain might think that your triplets sound even, but when you listen back, you might find that between the 2nd and 3rd triplet, you have a hitch, and it's uneven, and you want to eliminate that.
That's right. Yeah, guys, like cameras do not lie.
No.
Our brain is always lying to us because our perception is just off. We're experiencing something, it's different. So for you guys, make sure that there's no excuses. You can set up your phone anywhere. There's a mount that I bought at the dollar store. We were talking about this in the 180 Family Facebook group the other day. Like I bought this thing at like a dollar store, and I can mount my phone anywhere.
Yeah,
and it's
amazing.
super useful. And I can videotape myself. If you guys have GoPros, just throw that up by your drums. It can even be just tapping it. And listen to those transitions. Listen to how smooth you're switching between subdivision sounds so that you can really just own that. So, dude, do you want to play us some drum fill examples? Because I think now we've talked about enough of this. If you guys are working through the subdivision, all these different exercises, I want to start to give you guys some more applications to the drums as well. So one of the things you could do is play time for a bar, then play just an 8th note paradiddle drum fill. Would you recommend that? Then play time, then play 8th note triplet.
Or think about like because our we've been talking about this earlier. Our temptation is always to go to the toms.
Yes.
Use it in a groove.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Play and then use a paradiddle, and because the standard paradiddle groove is always 16th notes.
Right.
But if you play this 8th note triplets, it's gonna sound like a crazy thing, and like 16th note triplets, same thing. It's gonna sound pretty crazy, and it gives you. It's nice.
That should be the name of this lesson. Crazy thing.
Yeah, it is a crazy thing. So yeah, I'll play some of them. We can see how it sounds.
You went for the fast tempo, man.
Well, and I keep trying to play Paradiddles, but that's not what we're doing.
Oh,
so
right. The
off.
Calvin Rogers in you. Yes.
Yeah, or like the Ash Zone, that's a lot of what he does.
Right.
So every time I screwed up there, it was literally me
dig it.
catching myself trying to play Paradiddles, and then saying, you can't do that. And then it just sounded like I stopped midway.
Yeah. Okay, that's great, man. Do me a favor as well. Play a bar of groove, then play a bar of the fill, but just show us like eighth note triplets, and run through a couple of those really quickly, just so we can hear what they sound like as well.
As fills?
Yeah.
Cool. And like one of the keys is like playing those eighth note triplets. That's at a tempo where you can actually like some of those accents on like the right left left.
Yeah.
You can actually accent those.
That's right.
So you can start even within this. You can start playing like there's that paradiddle exercise of like moving the accent through the paradiddle.
Yes.
You can even start doing that in this subdivision pyramid, and then you're like all levels of.
Well, what's amazing is I think so what you're describing is always, every time that quarter note goes by, when you're playing the right, left, right, in eighth note triplets, whatever stick is landing on that quarter note pulse, you're going to accent it. So right, left, right, so triplet.
Yeah.
Is that what you're describing?
See, that's not even what I was talking about. I was talking just like thinking about, maybe even more simplistic than that, thinking about those right, left, right, left, right, left, those diddles in the paradiddle.
Got you, yes.
Mess with accenting those, because those are just as much notes as the rest of the thing. You know?
Demonstrate that for us.
Okay.
As eighth note triplets, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how you're using it. It's just you weren't doing that every time. You were using it in spots.
Right.
Because you demonstrated it right. It's just like, oh, it feels really weird. Triplet, 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 triplet.
Because and I'm tempted to do all of them on the snare.
Do you want to slow it down and just show us that on the snare, even if it takes you a second to figure it out? I love that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. This is about the moment where Tim Buell hates my guts.
Well, no. Because I'm trying to figure out what I'm, like, trying to accent.
Yeah.
So, and I'm trying to figure out what the quarter note is. And because you get lost, if you don't have, like, a quarter note grounding you, you get lost into, like, okay, am I playing this as 16th notes?
Yeah.
Am I feeling this as 16th notes, or am I really thinking about it as triplets, or whatever? But, yeah, let's try, yeah. Right at the end.
My favorite part, this happens all the time, is when our guests, our buddies, our instructors at 180 turn to me after lesson or like, Jake, for one, I hate you. Why'd you put me on the spot like that? And then for two, they're like, well, now I know what to practice when I go home. So it's like we're all growing in this together. We're all working on this. I wouldn't want to sit there right now because I would have the same things where it's like, wait a minute, how do you play a samba underneath that? right? So it's...
Well, and the easier way to do it would be... Like, the easier way to stick it would be... If you're trying to play those accents on the snare drum, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right.
Yeah.
But now I'm just thinking of. If I had thought of that a long time ago, it would have given me like a target to go for.
Yeah. So you're saying you anchored that pattern by always putting your right lefts in the same spot to help that find where the accent was.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly. But that's like you're saying, we're all learning. Like, I went to so many master classes where people talk, and then at the end you're like, well, they're perfect.
Yes.
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And it's not true. No one was born
it's
doing
a little
the stuff
bit
that,
of yeah.
Yeah, and like as an instructor, you're worried like, oh, now people are going to judge me, which people will. There are like trolls on YouTube that will judge you. But they're going to judge you regardless.
Just to touch on that for a second. It's like if you're catching yourself being that person, it's an insecurity and we all feel that. Because like really great drummers will, if you're really awesome, you would never think to bash somebody because you know that you're great. If you're bothered, right? If you're bothered that someone else is potentially better than you and you think they're supposed to be better than you, but then you notice a flaw, so you pick on it, it just means that there's some insecurity there. So don't be the person doing that. It's okay if you've done that before. I've been tempted lots of times to be like, man, that guy's not as good as he thinks he is. But I know that that's a negative self-talk and you got to shut it down, right? Yeah. So I've never thought about that about Tim Buell, though. This guy's a legend. It's awesome. So, dude, why don't you play us out? Because we've got a whole bunch of other subdivision lessons we're going to jump into.
Cool.
And the next thing we're working on, which rudiment are we doing next?
Let's do the flam accent.
Flam? Accent? All right, play us out, man.